had been married to Daniel for 8 years. Our marriage wasn't bad, it was safe. We knew how to finish each other's sentences, we agreed on what shows to binge-watch, and we shared inside jokes that made our friends roll their eyes. But somewhere along the way, the passion that had once made my heart race had faded into the background of domestic routine. Sex had become predictable, almost mechanical, an obligation rather than a thrill. Then came Nathan. Nathan was the new CEO of the marketing firm I'd worked at for 5 years. He had this air of authority that drew everyone in, not just me. He was tall, with sharp features and a confidence that bordered on arrogance but somehow felt justified. At first, I admired him from a distance. He was intense during meetings, dissecting strategies with precision, but there was a charm in the way he made even criticism feel like a compliment. It started innocently, or so I told myself. Late nights at the office, working on an important campaign. Nathan was relentless in his pursuit of perfection, and I found myself wanting to impress him. His praise felt like oxygen, and I started craving it more than I wanted to admit. One night, after another long session reviewing presentation slides, he leaned back in his chair and sighed. "You've got talent, Ava. I don't think this place would function without you." I blushed, brushing it off with a nervous laugh. "I think you're overestimating me." He tilted his head, his piercing gaze locking onto mine. "No, I'm not." Something shifted in that moment. It wasn't the words, but the way he said them. It was as though he saw through the polished facade I wore at work, past the dutiful wife I tried to be at home. It terrified me and thrilled me. A week later, we attended a work gala. My husband, Daniel, had planned a dinner with friends and couldn't make it. I went alone, donning a black dress that hugged my figure a little more tightly than usual. I told myself it was to look professional. I knew better. Nathan was there, of course, effortlessly charming his way through the room. At some point, we found ourselves on the terrace, away from the noise and laughter. The air was cool, and the city lights stretched out before us. "You don't seem like yourself tonight," he said, standing a little too close. "I'm fine," I lied. "Just tired." He studied me for a moment. "You're allowed to want more, you know." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. He didn't elaborate, but he didn't need to. The unspoken truth between us hung heavy in the air. When his hand brushed against mine, I didn't pull away, and when he leaned in, I didn't stop him. His lips were warm and insistent, and in that moment the world fell away. It was a kiss that unraveled everything, a kiss that I couldn't take back. The first time we slept together, it felt like stepping into another dimension. Nathan was nothing like Daniel. He was confident, adventurous, and completely in tune with my body in a way that felt almost surreal. He made me feel alive again, igniting a part of me I thought had long been extinguished. But it wasn't just the physical connection. Nathan listened to me in ways Daniel hadn't in years. He asked about my dreams, my fears, my frustrations. He made me feel seen. I told myself it wasn't just lust, it was something deeper, something worth risking everything for. The affair continued in secret. Late-night rendezvous at his apartment, stolen moments in his office, and long text exchanges that I'd delete as soon as I sent them. Each encounter left me both exhilarated and racked with guilt. At home, Daniel began to notice my distance. He'd ask if everything was okay, and I'd force a smile, saying I was just stressed from work. I hated lying to him, but I couldn't bring myself to stop seeing Nathan. I felt trapped in a double life. torn between the stability of my marriage and the passion of my affair. The secrecy eventually took its toll. One evening, Daniel found a text I'd forgotten to delete, a simple "I can't wait to see you tonight" with no name attached. His face went pale as he turned to me. "Ava, what is this?" I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. I wanted to lie, to come up with some plausible excuse, but the look in his eyes stopped me. He already knew. "It's not what you think," I stammered, but even as I said it, I knew how hollow the words sounded. "Then what is it?" he demanded, his voice breaking. "Because it looks like my wife is cheating on me." The argument that followed was the ugliest moment of my life. "Daniel," shouted. I cried, and the truth came spilling out in fragments. He wanted to know everything: how long it had been going on, who it was with, why I had done it. I didn't have answers that would satisfy him because I didn't fully understand it myself. Daniel moved out the next day, and the silence in our house was deafening. Nathan wanted me to leave my marriage and be with him, but I wasn't sure I could. What we had was intoxicating, but was it real? Or was it just an escape from the monotony of my life? In the weeks that followed, I grappled with the fallout. Friends took sides, my family expressed their disappointment, and I felt like a stranger in my own life. Daniel and I tried counseling, but the trust was shattered, and we both knew it might never be repaired. As for Nathan, the passion that once consumed us began to wane under the weight of reality. The affair had been thrilling because it was forbidden, but without that barrier, it lost some of its allure. I began to question whether I'd ever really loved him, or if I'd just loved the way he made me feel. Looking back, I can't say I regret it entirely. The affair forced me to confront truths about myself and my marriage that I had been avoiding for years. But it also came at a devastating cost, one that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. Infidelity isn't glamorous or romantic. It's messy, painful, and deeply human. And while I've learned a lot from the experience, I know I'll always wonder what might have been if I had chosen a different path.